I am Supreme. Today's Astro Oracle investigation will be on Jafet Elijah Jemmot. Jafet Elijah Jemmot is a 15-year-old student from Midwood High School who is currently a missing person who vanished from Far Rockaway, Queens, New York. He has been missing since the early morning of November 28th, 2025. This case is a suggestion from one of my viewers and subscribers. Shouts out to Deny Tico 444. Forgive me for any mispronunciations. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of my viewers and subscribers for suggesting content. And as you see, I do add your suggestions to my itinerary. So Jafet left his home on Burchell Avenue in Arverne at around 6 a.m. following a disagreement with his father the prior evening regarding plans to visit a Brooklyn thrift store and the Kings Plaza Mall. Home security footage captured him leaving the residence alone. I did watch the footage. Tracking data from the Life 360 app placed his phone near Beach 73rd Street and Rockaway Beach Boulevard by the Rockaway YMCA. Investigators state he boarded a Q52 bus and traveled across the Cross Bay Bridge toward Jamaica Bay before his phone battery died at approximately 5%. His family noted a sudden shift in his behavior prior to going missing. Cell phone records revealed he received high volumes of WhatsApp messages 2 hours before leaving, leading his parents to fear he may have been lured away or coerced by someone he met online via Discord or Instagram. And that is all that is written on Jafet Elijah Jemmot. What happened to this young man? 15 years old. I don't have anything to write on him, so I'm going to be pulling cards and I'm going to be pulling charts from the cards. We're going to find Jafet Elijah Jemmot today because I am supreme. I am a high-ranking Astro Oracle Psychic investigator. I communicate with the living and the dead for the purpose of solving cold cases and unsolved mysteries to bring justice to families and the world at large, including communities. You are about to witness a high-ranking Astro Oracle Psychic investigation on Jafet Elijah Jemmot. Now, I only have the day he disappeared, which is fine because I'm going to pull from the cards to locate what happened from there. So the day that Jafet Elijah Jemmot disappeared was November the 28th, 2025. And I have the planetary alignments. Just one alignment. The day he disappeared, the sun was in Sagittarius and the moon was in Pisces. And when you put a Pisces moon in Sagittarius's house, which is the 9th house, Cancer comes first. This is a 4th house chart. So Jafet disappeared on a domestic day during a domestic cycle of the moon, which created a domestic chart. Domestic chart is a fourth house chart. Home, family, and the mother. Situations, circumstances, and affairs thereof that take place in the home. What was going on at home? Why did Jafet leave that morning? What was that argument about? Other than him going to King's Plaza and these other places, what was said during those arguments that really made Jafet feel like he took it upon himself to say, I'm leaving? And I don't think he was leaving to go to King's Plaza or those places that he asked permission to go to. He went somewhere else. Where did Jafet go? I watched that video many times to get his body language in my energy, in my spirit. I saw what he had on. I watched the way he moved, the way he locked the door, the way he came out the door, the way he went down the steps and walked away. I got all of that in my spirit. All of that is in my energy. I've been communing with a lot of his photos. I pre-shuffled a lot of decks that I plan on using. Something's going to come out in this reading that's going to help us locate Jafet Elijah Jemmot. Now, I do know with the sun being in Sagittarius the day he disappeared and the moon being in Pisces, Pisces represents the hidden. It rules the 12th house of disappearance and that which is hiding and that which is unknown. Okay? And Sagittarius represents journeys, long distance travels. Now, in the 12th house, that day I see Gemini, which is the local environment. So if this was Jafet's birth chart, this would let me know that he is somewhere in that local environment at a neighbor's home. But this is not Jafet's birth chart. This is the birth chart of his disappearance. So now let's pull a chart from Jafet Elijah Jemmot's whereabouts. Open up a chart. I got my spirit team on board too. We don't know if Jafet is alive or has been unalive. We're hoping he is alive and well. But either way, I have my spirit team on board to assist me in locating Jafet Elijah Jemmot. I don't know his date of birth or anything. I just know his name is Jafet Elijah Jemmot, and he disappeared November 28th, 2025. What happened? Open up a chart. Assist me, spirit team. Open up a chart that will help me understand what happened to Jafet Elijah Jemmot. Before I logged on, I done said that name a million times to conjure up his energy while I was preparing for this reading, shuffling the cards and getting these planetary alignments together and still watching podcasts in the background, getting everything in my spirit that I can so I can pull cards with this energy. Because this energy is going to speak loud and clear. Because I'm hearing voices too. And I'm going to get to those voices after I pull this chart. Open up a chart. Tell me what happened to Jafet Elijah Jemmot. Where did he go? Did he meet with foul play? Where is he at? Who is he with? What happened? Why did he leave home? What was going on at home? I'm going to cut the deck. Mercury in the first house. Mercury is travel. Mercury is communication. Mercury is interaction. Mercury is the local environment. The first house is the house of self. This was self-motivated. Now, Mercury that day is in Scorpio. When Mercury in Scorpio is in the first house, that, of course, means Scorpio comes first. This is an 8th house chart. The 8th house chart is the chart of death, sex, shared resources. This is Scorpio's house. Now, where does Scorpio come from? The day Jafet disappeared. Scorpio came from the 5th house of children. He is a child. But the 5th house is also the house of romance, love affairs, playful love affairs. This is also the house of entertainment, events, creativity, celebrations, parties. And when it comes to children, this is also the house of gaming. Could he have left to go be with a romantic partner? Pluto is the energy that rules Scorpio. Where was Pluto at that day? Pluto was in Aquarius, and Aquarius is a friend. Aquarius is the group. Aquarius is a stranger. Where's Aquarius at the day Jafet disappeared? In the 8th house of death. I believe already that Jafet has been unalived. I can see it, but that doesn't mean that it's written in stone that it's true. I'm just showing you what I see, and I'm showing it to you so you can see for yourself. Scorpio comes first. This is the chart that was pulled from the cards. And Pluto is in Aquarius, right here. Where is Aquarius at in the chart that was pulled from the cards? Right here in the 4th house of home and family. And that's the same house that Jafet disappeared in. Not his house, but the 4th house was the house of that cycle. He disappeared during a 4th house cycle. So what are the odds that this friend that he was with shows up in the house of death? Because Pluto is there, and Pluto came from Scorpio, which comes first. This is the chart that was pulled from the cards, and it's showing that he's at this friend's house. Let's follow this friend, this stranger, this individual. He's at their house. He's not at his house. He's at their house. Because in the 4th house, the day he disappeared, if you look in the 4th bedroom, which is the master bedroom, you see Libra. Libra is the relationship partner. But this chart holds no weight for Jafet. But this chart does. Because this came directly from his energy. This chart came from that day. There is information that day that can be pulled from this chart. The information in this chart can only be read correctly through this chart. That's why we have to connect the dots. So Aquarius that lands in the 4th house of home and family, that came from the 8th house of death, which is the house that this friend's home is in, the 8th house cycle of the card that was pulled from Jafet's energy. Mercury in the 1st house. Mercury rules Gemini. And look where Gemini is. In the house of death. That's Scorpio's house. We have 3 dots that let us know that Jafet may have been unalived by a friend in that friend's home. Or in that friend's neighborhood. We have Scorpio that comes first. Scorpio is death. Scorpio is also sex. So I do see sexual assault. Mercury is the card that generated this chart. Mercury is in Scorpio. Mercury rules Gemini. And it rules the third house. We're going to get to the third house. But look where Gemini is. It's in the 8th house, the 8th bedroom. The master bedroom is the master energy of the 8th house. This master energy of death, shared resources. This is somebody he was talking to on the phone. Gemini's phone calls, messages. That's responsible for his disappearance and possible unalivement. Also, Pluto, which is the planet that rules Scorpio and the 8th house, the day Jafet disappeared, is in Aquarius. And Aquarius is in the house of death the actual day Jafet disappeared. So now let's follow this friend by following Uranus. Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. Uranus, the day Jafet disappeared, is in Taurus. Look where Taurus is at the day Jafet disappeared. Right there in Aquarius's house. The 11th house of friends. This was about money. Social media, money, and interaction and phone calls. As well as sexuality and love affairs. Hidden sexualities and love affairs. Now, where's Taurus at in the chart that Jafet pulled from the cards? Right here in the 7th house of relationships. This is Libra's house. This was a financial relationship. This was about money. And remember, Libra came from the 4th house the day Jafet disappeared. He was in pursuit of, because remember, this Libra doesn't make sense unless we look for what's going on in Libra's house in the second chart. And this chart was pulled from the cards. And in the second chart in Libra's house, I see Taurus. This Taurus nature of this relationship and bond was financial. And it came from the friend's house, Aquarius's house, the same Aquarius that's in the house of death, responsible for the unalivement. This Aquarius in the 8th house is also sex trafficking because Aquarius represents more than one individual. Children in particular. Because look in the house of children, which is the 5th house. You see Scorpio, the very child that comes first. I don't know Jafet's birth sign. He might be a Scorpio. I don't know. But I do know Scorpio is the energy that represents the nature of this child, which is sexual. This was sexual in nature. And when you look at where Leo is at, because Leo rules the 5th house. Leo is over here in the 2nd house of money. The 2nd house is Taurus's house. The same Taurus that let us know who this person he was in a relationship with that he left his home for. Right here in Libra's house. Taurus. You can't make that up. You cannot make this up. I'm hearing voices. I've been hearing voices. Ever since I tapped into Jafet Elijah Jemmot's energy, I've been hearing voices. So now I'm going to give these voices an outlet. I'm giving Jafet Elijah Jemmot a voice. And my spirit team is on board. They're going to assist me. Tell me what happened to Jafet Elijah Jemmot. Tell me what happened. Tell me what happened. He could have been kidnapped during his travels, wherever he was going. Tell me what happened to Jafet Elijah Jemmot in 4 words. Tell me what happened. I'm going to cut the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. The first card that came out was money. That's Taurus. Like I told you, this was a money move. Right there. This was a financial relationship. Money. Disease. Who has a disease? The person? I see sexual assault because sex also came out, but I've been saw sexual assault. I told you. Sex came out. And disease came out, of course, because I feel like he's with a predator. And these predators have diseases. Giving these kids AIDS and syphilis and gonorrheas and all types of sexually transmitted diseases. But they discard the body after they finish sexually assaulting them. Absolutely motherfucking disgusting. Predators. Enemies. Of course. He had enemies. And you know who this enemy was? The person who he met up with. You know how I know that? Because look what's in the house of enemies, which is the 12th house. In the chart that Jafet pulled, look what's in the 12th house. Libra, the partner. The 7th house partner. Because Libra rules the 7th house. That's Libra's house. Where Taurus is. Libra's over here. His enemy. Enemies. Who is responsible for your disappearance and unalignment? Who is in the energy of this disappearance and unalignment? Who is in the energy of the disappearance and unalignment? Now keep in mind, when I pull these cards, it's not only going to tell me exactly who, but it's also going to show me who else played a role in this overall energy of what triggered Jafet to even want to leave home and disobey his parents. There's a reason for that. So I'm looking for who is the reason for that as well. The father. Family in the 10th house. The 10th house is the father's house. I knew that father was going to come out because that's the last person and an employee in the 5th house. The 5th house is where Scorpio is. Now, this is a sex worker. Sex worker. Okay? Sex worker employee in the 5th house of playful romance and sex trafficking. Because remember, this energy right here in the 5th house, Scorpio, is the same energy that came first from the cards. That's the energy that Jafet pulled from the card. Because Mercury is in Scorpio and Mercury rules Gemini. And Gemini is over here in the house of sex and death. It started online. A sex worker and a father. When the family card comes out in the 10th house, the 10th house, that's Capricorn's house. That's the house of the father figure. 10th house is also law enforcement. It's authority figures, period. But this is a family in the 10th house. family 10th house person is the father. And that is the last person that he had an argument with. So yes, his father was in his energy. Am I saying his father is responsible? No. But like I said, I asked for who was in Jafet's energy that even triggered this to want to disobey his parents. His father. This is so sad because, see, Jafet met with foul play. He met with foul play. He met with predators who did not have good intentions at all. At all. And I feel like Jafet left because I feel like this person was telling him that they were going to give him some money. If he never made it to their house, then he was abducted. He was abducted and still trafficked and discarded. He had no phone. His phone was off. It would have been easy to discard of his phone. I feel so bad for this kid and his family. Tell me where the body of Jafet Elijah Jemmot is. We have to keep closer tabs on our kids. Where is the body of Jafet Elijah Jemmot? I'm going to cut the deck and we're going to pull where his body is. Sanitation and waste. East from where he disappeared at. Sanitation and waste. Like I said, they discarded his body. Now let's pull some evidence. Let's pull some evidence. Let's pull some evidence. Let's pull some evidence. Six cards of evidence that will help us locate Jafet Elijah Jemmot, killer. The people who are responsible for his unalivement and disappearance. He could be held hostage, but I see death. I see death more. If he is sold into sex trafficking, he's suffering big time. But I see he did suffer. But I see death more than I see hostage and suffering. 6 cards of evidence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we have a brown garment. Now, we have the letter X, the letter K, the letter D, the number 6, and we have the number 8. Is this a license plate number? Could this be a town where he's at? Could this be a username? Letters and numbers in a username? On Instagram? Or what was that other platform? There was a Discord. I never heard of Discord. But I'm quite sure the children have. And if it's Discord, then that's D that came out. So the letter K, X, 8, and the number 6. I'm going to leave this reading right here because whatever doesn't come out in the wash will always come out in the rinse.